No one likes to hear this, but the biggest barrier to your success is you. And it's only when we acknowledge that and when we accept that and take complete ownership of our situation that we can drive meaningful change and create the results we want. Because instead of things happening to us, we are suddenly in control. We are back in the driver's seat and we can take the action necessary to move ourselves forward. And the truth is, most people don't want to do that. Most people don't want to have that level of responsibility for themselves or self-responsibility. But that is what is necessary for success. And so it's important to really get clear with yourself and consider, am I willing to do what it takes to create the results that I want? Welcome to the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Bangura, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Whether you're a woman aiming to become a confident, impactful leader, or you're a leader committed to promoting gender equity in the property and construction industry, this podcast is designed specifically for you. Join me every week to gain insights and inspiration that will leave you excited and confident about taking your next steps. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's dive into today's topic. Today, we have a juicy topic. We are talking about the barriers to your success. More specifically, that the biggest barrier to your success is, in fact, you. Now, no one likes to hear this. Life is so much easier when we can outsource responsibility to other people, but that is not what it's going to move you ahead. And we are at the end of June. We are at this midpoint in the year. And my goal, my hope for you is that you will get to the end of 2024 and you will have ticked off all of those goals that you set for yourself at the start of the year. That you will have that career that is thriving, where you are impactful and enjoying work. And you also have a life outside of work and your health and relationships that are important to you, and you are thriving as a woman in the industry. And the only way that that will happen is if we take the time to really check in with ourselves, to look at what is working, what isn't, and to talk about the elephant in the room, like what is holding you back if you are not on track for the results you want. Now, as I said before, this may be very uncomfortable. This requires us to show up and be brutally honest with ourselves. But this is also what differentiates the good from the great. And if you want to be someone who is creating big things in your life, if you want to be a top performer, if you want to be excelling at work and in life, you need to be in control. You need to have the self-awareness and the ability to change course and to set yourself up for success. Today, I'm going to walk you through that process, and I'm going to walk you through some of the biggest things that keep us stuck. Now, if you are someone who is completely on track for the goals you set, you can turn this episode off, right? You've got this covered. You are crushing it. But if you are like the 99% of people who are not on track for their goals this year, then you need to hear this. And I want to preface this by saying there is nothing wrong with you, right? The fact that you have barriers that is keeping you stuck is normal. It is part of the human experience, and no one is devoid of this. We all have this. But going through this process, having this awareness and choosing to do something different is what will propel you forward. You know, they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And we all understand that on an intellectual level, but still, we tend to bury our heads in the sand. We tend to avoid confronting the hard truths because it's difficult, because we don't like what it means about us. But we get to choose, do we want to avoid things or do you want to create results? And hopefully this is the reminder you need in order to move you forward, because this midpoint in the year is a crucial time for reflection and adjustment. It's an opportunity to recalibrate and focus on what is truly important for achieving that professional success and that personal success that you want. And as with anything, what we measure, we improve, because it draws our attention to the issue. We need to really think about what it is that's holding us back. And these boil down to some key things. So the first one is making excuses. This is rationalising our own inaction or failures by attributing them to all the external factors that are beyond our own control. So this is blaming things like not having enough time or not having the right resources or other people not doing things or other people not recognizing you. When we are in this headspace of consistently finding reasons why something isn't done or can't be done, we're just shedding the responsibility. We are deferring the outcome to other people. And when we do that, any success that happens, it's almost incidental. Now, another big one is inaction because we're overwhelmed. And this is just when we think there are just so many things to do. Things seem so big that they lead to, paralysis and that complete lack of action. And it shows up, we stall on making important decisions, or we don't start things, and we get stuck in the planning mode without ever moving into the execution phase. And while planning is important, it keeps us stuck, right? We cannot just think our way to results. Results only come when we take action, and we will only know what works once we have results. We need to take action in order to engage in that feedback loop, what works and what doesn't, so that we can take more action that aligns with the outcomes we want. Something I also see is focusing on the wrong things or not being clear on our priorities. We are halfway through the year, and it's the perfect time for a progress check. Are you on track with your goals, or do you feel like you're slipping behind? The good news is there is still time to achieve your goals if you start now. To help you get there, I've created a mid-year check-in guide. This guide will help you clarify your progress, identify what's holding you back, and get you unstuck and laser focused. With it, you can move forward to create the results you want, so you can have that more fulfilling and rewarding career and life. Head on over to rebeccabangura.com or find the link in the show notes to get your copy and start moving forward today. So this is when you are busy spending time and energy on tasks that don't contribute effectively to your primary goal. So this is often like the busy work, right? The busy, low value work. This is the operational stuff that doesn't move the needle in terms of the strategic goal and is prioritizing the minor tasks over the impactful ones. Limiting beliefs are also very much at play here. And these limiting beliefs, these are the stories and the narratives that are entrenched, that are programmed into our brains about what is possible for us. These are the beliefs and the stories and the narratives that are programmed into our brains about what is possible for us. Most of these limiting beliefs play for most people in their subconscious. It's only once we do the work to recognize those beliefs, to recognize those limiting beliefs, that we can start to make change. And so these are the beliefs and the stories and the narratives that are programmed within our brains that hinder our growth and our achievement. They kind of limit what we think is possible for ourselves. And this might be thoughts like, I'm not good enough to lead, or I can't handle this job, which might stop you from taking on challenges or stepping up and advancing your career. Again, moving back to this idea of personal responsibility and taking ownership, we need to all acknowledge that we have some version of these self-beliefs going on in our head. And we need to do the work to connect and understand what they are and how they might be impacting our behaviours or holding us back. This is often uncomfortable work, but doing it puts you in control. It allows you to start defining who you want to be, what you want to believe, and reprogramming your brain so you're on an upward trajectory. That's why I say that when we talk about things like, fear of failure and imposter syndrome and perfectionism and self-worth and all of these things, these are all, real challenges that we can face. But we get to choose how we respond to them. We can either accept them and use them as an excuse for the rest of our lives, or we can decide to understand ourselves better and to rewrite the stories, to rewrite the program that is driving our actions and ultimately our results. And you need to decide, are you going to be someone who drives outcomes in your own life? Are you going to be someone who lets go of the bullshit, lets go of the excuses, and instead does the work to create the results? Because no one else can do this for you. I often say to my clients that being a leader and achieving the level of success that you want, it is a process of becoming. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just read the books and consume the information. You have to show up and do the work and take the actions consistently and refine the process. This is not about having it all figured out straight away. It's about trying things. It's about adjusting what you're doing. It is about thinking about things with the big picture and breaking it down. And if you are thinking, oh, I don't know, it's too much, it's too overwhelming, I want you to think about whether that is a helpful story for you, right? You might be thinking this is too overwhelming. You may be looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, it's too much to do. I don't know where to start. And I want to tell you, those thoughts are not helpful. They will not create results. So instead, start asking yourself questions, right? Start thinking about, what would I do if I did know the answer? What have I seen other people do that work? Where could I start? What's the one action I can get going with? Start to challenge your brain in order to stop listening to your own bullshit. Our brains are good at doing this. They want us to stay in their comfort zones, but you need to take control in order to get the results you want. I've just been through this. I do this every 3 months where I sit down and do this review process for myself. And, I don't always like the information I find out about myself. I don't always like the reality of things. But with the knowledge, I get to decide how to move forward. And that is what is important. That is the process of becoming the person we need to be who creates the results that we want. And so I want to leave you with this thought. There are lots of people out there who have the results that you want right now. And they are not more special than you. They are not smarter than you. They are not more capable. They have just gone out and made it happen. And that is possible for you too. And I want to invite you to step away from today and think about how to actually move forward so that you can get out of your own way and how you can apply this to your own career, to your own life, and think about how you can get out of your own way and start creating the results you want. I want to walk away from today and get honest with yourself about where you are and where you want to be and what it requires for you to get there. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear, what is the thing that is holding you back? What is the barrier for you? Come over and connect with me on LinkedIn and share with me, what is the big barrier for you to move forward? I would love to hear from you. And as I said, we've all got these barriers. It's about recognizing them, taking complete ownership and deciding to do something different. And I will be your cheerleader on that process. I would love to hear where you're at because I know it is possible for you. Thanks for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Building Up Women in Property. Thanks for joining me on the Building Up Women in Property podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, I'd love for you to take a moment and review the show if you found it helpful, or share it with a few friends. Thanks again, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.